thinking about it. Few locales have indulged in winning the past 5 years like the Tampa Bay region. The Rowdies are the championship's third leading offense, unbeaten through 7 weeks. Cal Jennings scored 19 goals a year ago. He's on a strong pace to start this year. Today they welcome a soaring New Mexico United side and a Scotsman at the top of his game, Greg Hurst. It's the Rowdies and New Mexico. The USL is on CBS. A look out over scenic Tampa Bay from the St. Pete waterfront. CBS Sports presents the Tampa Bay Rowdies and New Mexico United. It should be a near capacity crowd at Al Lang Stadium. Fireworks after the game. I bet we get a few tonight during the game as well. Joined by Ricky Lopez, Espen, Mike Watts on hand, and here we go. It's a loaded slate in the championship, but this game was chosen for a reason. Two teams already with good success and trying to stay on that front foot.
And it's going to be really interesting, Mike, because you look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I do think they're starting to find their identity, whether they play direct, but they understand we can play through teams because we're very good in the center of the park. But for New Mexico, probably the hardest stretch of games that they've had, yet they've only dropped 4 points. This team knows how to win on the road, especially in hostile environments.
Certainly so, and maybe none more hostile than this. Tampa Bay is one of 4 remaining unbeaten teams in the championship out of 24. The Battery, a 6-0 win earlier today against Las Vegas. Detroit is perfect, and the Republic are off to a great start, vanquished Orange County last week. Now, as you look at the Rowdies, Manuel Arteaga, a big offseason acquisition, won a trophy with Phoenix. This is the guy they were looking for.
And as the Rowdies, they want to be expansive, right? They want to attack on wide parts of the field. So the constant is you need to have a number 9 that's going to stay central, a number 9 that's ruthless, that wants to get on the end of things and makes his money in around that 18-yard box. It's all about the movement to create your own space. Watch this best look that we're going to get here at this angle. He slashes across his individual marker, and then he has the composure to get his feet underneath him and just simply help it onto that back post. As we take a look at this second clip, right side of your screen, it's the timing, it's the explosiveness, it's the ability to get goal side. It's a fantastic header. Clinical, just needs to help it onto that far post. Manuel Arteaga, one of the best strikers in USL Championship.
And we mentioned Arteaga won a trophy last year. That was with Phoenix. That's one of the teams New Mexico has already knocked off this year. This is the who's who, murderer's row at the outset. Remarkably, New Mexico just the one solitary defeat. And as you look at their group, remarkable start from Marco Micheletto. This is a guy who can really make a difference.
And you look at him, the quality on the ball, but I want to talk about his effort. As he starts this play, he outruns about 3 opposing players, and then it's all about the willingness to win his 50-50 duels. And once he gets himself into that final third, it's about being clever, understanding where you are and the body position, putting himself between his marker, the ball, any sort of contact. He goes down, and Greg Hurst says, thank you very much. And as in center midfielder, Mike, you have to be so decisive when you pick and choose your time when to join the final third. That's one thing, but it's a completely different animal when you have the quality to find that final action. Just watch the technical ability. Head down, laces through this ball. He tattoos this thing. Marco Micheletto has been massive for New Mexico.
He's worth the price of admission, and a lot of people have paid for admission tonight at Al Lang Stadium in St. Petersburg, Florida. Big cross-conference matchup to come. It's the Rowdies and New Mexico coming up on CBS Sports. These are iconic championship kits. It's the hoops of the Rowdies, the Meow Wolf of New Mexico United. Closing in on kickoff, and we take a look at the starting lineups tonight. We begin with the Rowdies. When you haven't lost, why would you make any changes?
And it's going to be a 3-4-2-1 for Robbie Nielsen. That back line of Guillen, Lasso, and Doherty, they're going to stay at home, and you're going to see Lewis Hilton drop in and be a little bit more in that security blanket. Crisosimo, he's going to push high, and he's going to fill in the gaps. You have Munjoma and Bodily. Expect work rate and quality. Arteaga's going to stay high. Cal Jennings will make those runs, and Josh Perez will stay at home to combine with players around him. As for New Mexico, 4-2-3-1. I do think you look at that middle three, they need to be quickly to get in a rhythm, impose their identity, and if they do that, Greg Hurst, Reyes, and Harris, they're going to be players that want to be direct and express themselves, but it's going to be a big challenge, Mike, for this back three to stay compact, keep everything in front of them, and challenge to get a clean sheet here at Al Lang Stadium.
And notably, Harris, the last 3 seasons in Tampa Bay as a wingback, starts as a winger tonight for New Mexico in his return. This is an enormous game. 2 teams in the top 4 in their respective conferences. A major staging post in the early stages of the championship campaign. Abdu Njai is the official for this game. And here we go from St. Pete. New Mexico, just their second ever meeting with the Rowdies. Cross country to take on one of the 4 remaining unbeatens in the league. That's a bit half-hearted. Ultimately, Astorga got there, but give it away. Arteaga. Arteaga! Could you imagine what a start that would have been? Just 25 seconds into the game, and New Mexico has to be quivering a bit in their boots.
How clean can you be without playing out of the back? Give credit to Josh Perez. He reads this thing, and it's a sloppy touch from Astorga, essentially. And Manuel Arteaga, we talked about him in the open, doesn't need a second invitation to pull the trigger, and he does not miss by much. Brilliant start here for the Tampa Bay Rowdies within the first minute.
Throw for Munjoma, was acquired from Phoenix a few short weeks ago. It's all the way back to Alex Timbakis. Hernandez spears it out of play. That had already crossed the line. And right off the bat, you can see the Rowdies' pressure against New Mexico's build causing some problems. Ball whipped across high from Arteaga. And Munjoma runs out of real estate.
And it's interesting because you look at the Rowdies, they're going to press with high, Arteaga, Perez, and Jennings. So for New Mexico, how clean can those 2 center backs be at picking and choosing their times when to play through the press, but also play direct into Greg Hurst and try to win second balls to relieve some of the pressure that they've been on early on.
Tossed in by Chris Gloucester. Astorga. Hernandez will chase it down. He spins, but he had already tripped up an errant Rowdy. Rowdies have conceded just 7 goals in 6 games. Only 1 clean sheet to show for it. Unbeaten, but 4 draws to their name. Ball tapped outside. Bodily across. Timbakis got a piece. He's waving everybody forward. Bodily again. New Mexico trying to find their sea legs here in St. Pete. Clearance toward the halfway line. Hurst let this dribble away, but it's calmly to Micheletto. You know, the tough thing for New Mexico, their only loss this year was a 4-0 drubbing at the hands of Charleston, but it has to be put in some context. They'd gone to Rhode Island, traveled all the way back to Albuquerque, then went all the way over to Charleston again. It's a similar problem this week. They went to Cary, North Carolina, beat NCFC, go back to Albuquerque, and then here they are against Tampa Bay. I don't envy that kind of travel. I know you know that all too well.
I hope they have frequent flyer miles under Eric Quill, but this New Mexico side, we had the ability to talk with him, and he said, look, as the games have progressed, we've just gotten better. We didn't have our best performance against North Carolina, but yet we still found a way to win. And that's something that speaks volumes about this New Mexico side. They come together, they galvanize, and they find a way to get results, and it's going to be a very difficult feat here against a Rowdy side that we said, Mike, is flying at the moment.
Bailey. Herbert. Naples centers a back three and had become a back two. So you saw Astorga sort of inch up into that midfield. Hernandez pumps the brakes on an active Lewis Hilton. Gloucester feeding down the line. That's too strong.
We're already seeing this New Mexico side. As Hernandez is playing on the right-hand side, Reyes is actually playing underneath Greg Hurst. A little tactical change from that man, Eric Quill.
Quill, 75 matches at the helm for North Texas when they were in League One. Won the 2019 double. Named on June the 13th last year, the head coach. Troy Lassane led the organization in early going. It was Zach Prince that followed. Joshua Perez gave chase. It's smothered by Timbakis.
Great ball.
Streaking through, the flag is up, it is offside. And Jordan Farr not put under too much pressure just yet. That was Deion Harrison, he said it was that close.
The different profile that they were missing against North Carolina FC, the ability to be direct and make those darting runs from a central location off the shoulder of Lasso and Guillen.
This is some end-to-end stuff to start. Ball poked in front. Arteaga can't get there, and it's going to be dog-walked over the line because Perez was hunting. It is a corner for Tampa Bay. What is going on?
But about the way the Rowdies want to play, whether it's Manjoma, whether it's Bodley, they provide the width, and then it's all about the movement ahead of the ball. Great run from Arteaga as he makes that near-post run. He causes a little bit of chaos, and Astorga, very confident, just as you said, Mike, just walks it over the end line. Good start from the home side here.
Lewis Hilton, his 5th year with the Rowdies, 9th playing in the championship. Hilton offers, header, smack down, toward the line and in! Cal Jennings continues his torrid start to the campaign. Goals in 7 games, and this dynamic duo for Tampa Bay strikes again.
When you have Lewis Hilton over the ball, you expect quality service, and so many times it's a second action that can hurt teams. Watch every player in a black jersey. They turn around, they're on their heel, no one reacts. And like you said, Mike, Cal Jennings, a fox in the box, doesn't need to get it on target. You give yourself a chance. Dream start here for Robbie Nielsen, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, as they go up 1-0 in the 7th minute.
5 goals already. He had 19 last year. He is flying for the Rowdies. Well, early you could say New Mexico is stubbing their toe, but now that they've conceded the opener, you can argue it's a real problem now.
That's going to be interesting now. What's the reaction look like for the visitors? And if you're Eric Quill, you're going to be very frustrated how you concede that goal, not through the run of play, but set pieces. We talked about tactics, we talked about game plan, but that's not X and O's. That's just pure willingness not to lose your individual marker.
Rowdies have dropped 4 points this year when scoring first. Astorga, ball ricocheted around. It belongs to New Mexico. Now, New Mexico, for the first time in their history, which is their 6th year, scored 3 or more goals in 3 straight games, all competitions. 2 in the championship, 1 in the Open Cup. So 1 goal won't scare him, that's for sure. Zico Bailey playing in a renewed midfield role. Bailey rolls wide. Hernandez picks his head up, cuts back across. He had options. They begin again. Astorga whips the cross through. Lasso did not touch it. Manjoma allows it to leak over the line.
That was going to be a key to the game for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. How good defensively can they be in transition moments? Because New Mexico, they have players that want to be direct and decisive in that final third. I do think Hernandez makes the wrong decision in this instance. He wanted to take that first touch out of his body and really test that man, Jordan Farr, early on.
Jordan Farr, goalkeeper of the year. They won the double in 2022, the regular season and the postseason. Bodily. Another set piece. This one came off Astorga, and the Rowdies will try and double their money just over 10 minutes in.
It's just too easy. Too easy for the Rowdies to play between the lines of New Mexico. You need to be compact in your structure if you're Eric Quill. Already 9 goals conceded. Make that 10 with this match. And once again, really dangerous opportunity here.
Hilton found Lasso. That ball is definitely not touching the chalk. Hilton. Ball don't lie. Goal kick. Admit it. You soccer players are always looking for that extra 6 inches or a foot. I get it. I get it.
That inch makes a massive difference, Mike.
Oh, yeah? Floated inside by Hernandez. Slide from Guillen. Goes to the Rowdies through Chris Alstamo.
Just watch the shape of New Mexico between Marco Micheletto and Bailey. They're getting caught a little bit too high. There is a big gaping hole between lines. So if the Rowdies have the ability to find the Josh Perez dropping in, it's going to cause a lot of concern.
Hilton helped to take it away, and Arteaga was trying to swing that down. Hurst pressuring at the back of Lasso. Lasso, defender of the year twice over for the Rowdies, then went to Sundsvall, played for El Paso head coach now, Brian Claerhout there. Ended up returning to Tampa Bay. He and Guillen written in Sharpie in this back line when available for the better part of the last half decade. Guillen got a piece and now wins it. Toward the halfway line, Micheletto drops it back. Slide to turn it away, still work to be done. Astorga was the wide option. That's been shut off. Inside from Reyes. Cross field from Bailey. Into Deon Harris. He had his pocket picked. And Crisostomo trying to get by. Harris recovers. The Rowdies at home. And it's been that way since Stu Campbell was the coach. So bounce all the way down to Farr. Now they've gotten better on the road. There were times in 2017, 2018 where it felt like they couldn't buy 3 points on the road. But for whatever reason, Al Lang is every other team's house of horrors. You ever have the luxury of playing here?
Preseason with Inter Miami. And it was an incredible environment. Talk about quality of the pitch. Like you said, it's like a carpet.
Yeah.
Fantastic These are the games that you want to play in as a player.
Hilton knocks it ahead. He's looking for Jennings, who scored on a net mouth scramble back in the 7th minute for Tampa Bay. Lasso went forward for it. It clicks off the heel of Hurst. The advantage run out. They'll bring it back. And Nicky Hernandez peels himself up off aforementioned carpet.
These are the types of actions that you want if you're New Mexico, up, back, and through, but just watch Forrest Lasso. He gets caught in no man's land. It's a clear-cut foul, but if this ball from Marco Micheletto is into the path of Greg Hurst, it's a foot race going downhill. You see how good this New Mexico side can be at playing between lines and playing off Greg Hurst, who is kind of a false number 9, the way that Eric Quill described him. He can slash, he can be part of the build-up. Make no mistake about it, he can find the back of the net.
Harris, good leading touch. Stuck that through toward Hurst. And that may be headed toward the street. Micheletto seeking Herbert, streaming toward the ball. Pulled over by Maples. Quarter hour gone in St. Pete. Diagonal into Astorga. Rowdies were wise to it. Hurst counter pressing back to Doherty, and now Manjoma. One of the fun parts of talking to Eric Quill, he described, yeah, we want to be aggressive, we want to possess in the attacking half, but there's 3 sort of overarching styles of attack that we need to be good at. We need to be able to possess, we need to be able to play in transition, we need to be able to use wide areas, we need to be able to play in behind. In this instance, the Rowdies have gotten it again. Oh, it's Jennings! It will never get easier than that. A brace in 16 minutes time. Combines with Arteaga off the New Mexico catastrophe. 2-0 Rowdies.
Just far too casual versus Tim Bacchus. That takes too long. And then it's Maples. Just clear your lines. But give credit to Manuel Arteaga. Doesn't need a second invitation. Head up the whole way into that, man. And like you said, such an easy finish for a player that quality. 2 goals for him, 2 goals for the Rowdies. And they're in the driver's seat 17 minutes in.
When playing it out of the back goes wrong. New Mexico put to the sword for their early errors. 2 goals in the hole now. Hernandez, bodied by Bodley. Hilton. Perez. Mentioned the rigors of cross-country travel. Perez slides in. That came with a bit of risk. That 4-0 Charleston loss after flying back and forth from Rhode Island back to Albuquerque and back again. They also had about a half dozen players who picked up some form of the flu. To be fair, outclassed by Charleston by any measure on the day. That was acknowledged as well. Astorga got no further. Perez leading. Bodley. Knew he was going to lose his footing. Still found a way to sneak that inside to Arteaga. Clipped wide. This is where the dangers come from. Manjoma knocked away by Gloucester.
You just see how explosive this Rowdy side can be at turning defense into offense, especially with Bodily and Manjoma. Changing the point of attack, challenging the shape of New Mexico. So if you are Gloucester, if you're Astorga, how decisive, how disciplined can you be in your structure? As you go, you need to make sure that there's coverage and rotation behind you, because too many times it's been one-way traffic and wide areas of the field for the home side.
Manjoma.
And it's interesting, Mike, as you see this New Mexico side, I do think their reaction after they conceded their first goal was quite good. They got on the ball a little bit more. They started dictating tempo. Then it's just a silly mistake from Tambakis and Maples, just too casual. When you play against a team like the Rowdies, who are so ruthless, especially at home, like you alluded to earlier, they're going to make you pay, and they've done just that.
Yan bobs and weaves, and the Rowdies slip free. Jennings now tied third in the league. Goals scored. He's got a long way to go to get to first now. Crisostomo slips it ahead. Not to be. Arteaga was wide open, but Jennings went for glory and what would have been a 20-minute hat trick.
Just watch the movement, whether it is Jennings, whether it is Arteaga. Crisostomo has the ability to go and search the game off the shoulder of Gloucester, but like you said, left side of your screen, Arteaga, you play that across, it's 3-0. You don't say this often, but Cal Jenny makes the wrong decision in that instance.
By the way, we'll make mention of it at halftime. There are 4 duos in the league right now who have 4 or more goal contributions apiece. Jennings and Arteaga now both far clear of it. Nick Markanek now has 11 goals for Charleston after dropping a 4 spot on Las Vegas earlier today. So when I say there's a long way to go to ultimately see Cal Jennings into the Golden Boot race, he's now just 5 back.
Incredible. Incredible the form that that young man has been able to capture with Ben Pierman at the helm. 4 goals.
Like it was nothing. The Rowdies showing their might. 2 wins, 4 draws on the season, but without a defeat. Ball blasted well left of target. Dayon Harris trying to make a statement in his return to Al Lang. I thought it was interesting talking to Eric Quill. Everyone's used him as a fullback. You look at Zico Bailey as well. Everyone's used him as an outside back. So if you're Harris, you get to play further forward as a winger. If you're Zico Bailey, you're playing in midfield. He sees the game a little bit differently than some other coaches have, and he's trying to put the right players in the right spot for this system.
And I thought that was extremely interesting because we talked about Zico Bailey, how good he is with the ball at his feet.
Bodily sending early. Tambakis in the nick of time as Jennings was bearing down.
And Eric Quill was quick to point out and say, look, we just knew he gave us a little bit something different in the center of the park, the ability to cover ground. But yet I still do think if you're New Mexico, you need a number 6. You need a destroyer because you want Zico Bailey, you want Marco Micheletto higher up the field to make a difference. So who's going to clog passing lanes? And I've already seen it 23 minutes in. It's been too easy to break through the defensive structure. Central location for the Rowdies. And I do think if you're Eric Quill, that's a position that's maybe in need as the season progresses.
It's a group missing Kalen Ryden, a vital defender, but also without Abu Dunladi, who's yet to debut this season, a series of soft muscle injuries. No Harry Swartz, no Daniel Bruce, no Christian Nava. In a perfect world, all 5 of those guys are playing, whether it's starting or off the bench, every single night.
It's never a question of talent for the New Mexico side. Players that you just rattled off would be starting 11 for any other side in USL Championship.
it direct. There's Farr. Lollipops that ahead to Hilton.
Just look at the center of your screen. Josh Perez in acres of space. And that's just the real estate that I'm talking about. Whether it is Zico Bailey or Marco Micheletto, one needs to stay home and stay right in front of your back line.
Guillen gestures. There's the aforementioned Perez. Plays from that pocket of space. Bodily. Squares. Joma, head swiveling. Arteaga tries to return. And Timbakis will clear. Is that a problem you felt existed for New Mexico in recent games, or something that Tampa Bay has picked out and realized they can do better than others? Is ball carried forward. Manjoma's going to have a go, and it's swallowed up by Timbakis.
Just watching their last game against North Carolina, it was more Zico Bailey that was sitting.
Yeah.
Marco Micheletto, like we showed in the opening, the ability to advance himself higher up the field. And it seemed like it's kind of switched. Now Marco's sitting a little bit deeper, and Zico's pushed higher. Don't know if that's a tactical thing that Eric Quill maybe saw when scouting this Rowdy side. Just tactically, you look at the two players underneath, Manuel Arteaga, Josh Perez, Cal Jennings, there's going to be creating overload. The Rowdies have done very well at finding that.
Outside from Reyes. Hernandez returns. Reyes got there, sent it across. Oh, wow, what a save! Farr denies Harris. He's one of the best in the league for a reason. That was far out.
It's the underlapping run here from Reyes. As he starts central, he just plays off the shoulder. And as his back line is retreating for the Rowdies, where's the space? It's a cutback. Harris does well to get goal side, but take nothing away from that fantastic save from Jordan Farr.
Wild. And the Rowdies going right down Main Street. That got over Lasso. It will not get over Farr. Unreal from Jordan Farr, and that would have been a real inflection point for New Mexico had they scored that at this stage of the game. Cal Jennings, a brace in 16 minutes time. Slob downfield. Not the worst idea to attack after we saw not one, but two half-field goals last week. Not that the Rowdies really want to talk about that.
I was about to say, one was on this field from about 60 yards. Incredible hit.
Robbie Nielsen said, look, stuff happens. Didn't really have a better way to describe it. Ultimately finished with a 1-1 draw with El Paso. Picked off again. There is contact, but it is the ball first, according to the referee. Remember, that contact from Perez comes with a yellow card for breaking up a transition moment for New Mexico.
Once again, New Mexico having a very difficult time dealing with this initial pressure. Clear foul. He comes through the backside of Marco Micheletto. Not what you want if you're Robbie Nielsen. 28 minutes in, Josh Perez on a yellow card, so a big test in terms of his discipline and his positioning for the remainder of this match.
Bailey. Hurst dropped in, Astorga. Herbert spent some time over in Finland after finishing his collegiate career at St. John's. The ball never got to Hurst. Hilton picks his head up, launches beyond Manuel Arteaga. You know, Jordan Farr probably deserves another 10 looks if we had him.
Just watch his footwork, the ability to keep on moving, and then it's a left leg, the power step to throw him right. Athletic ability, body control, textbook goalkeeping from Jordan Farr.
4 minutes ago now, he was the top goalkeeper in NAIA at Corbin. Ended up in Indy for a few years. Never really found his way consistently into that lineup. Ball whipped across, plucked out of the air, and tapped through the 6. It's going to be offside on Cal Jennings. The Rowdies' hairstyles are something else. I'm not sure what to describe that. And then you've got multiple players going with the bleached look. Bodley's got the full-on mullet. I don't know what they're drinking down there in St. Pete.
You think you can pull it off?
No, I can't pull off any of these things.
Come on. A little bit more faith. Just no real options for New Mexico. Whether you are Reyes, you need to do a little bit better job at finding those gaps between lines and just dropping down to give a different angle to play out of. Everything has been in front of Crisosimo and Lewis Hilton. Makes life very easy for that double pivot for Robbie Nielsen because they just move left, they just move right. They just stay compact in their structure.
Now Lang Stadium in St. Petersburg. Rowdies well on their way to try and make it 7 unbeaten to start the year. New Mexico just 1 defeat in their first 6 games. I would say certainly going through the most difficult part of their schedule right off the bat. Cobo Reyes draws a foul. Goals now for Tampa Bay. Everyone, it appears, is going to be chasing the battery in that category. Farr coming out. He got there before Hurst. Said goalkeepers don't have to run. News for both these teams is they're about to get an extended stay at home. For New Mexico, 3 straight games, including a bye week from the 8th of May until the 25th of May, all at home. They'll play Real Salt Lake in the Open Cup, then Oakland and San Antonio. Tampa Bay will go on the road to Memphis next weekend and then get 4 straight at home, including back-to-back games against Birmingham. Driving in, Crisosimo. Oh, wow. You know, they always say aim for one panel on the ball. He picked the wrong panel.
But nonetheless, once again, you break lines with your passing, and you really bait Herbert to step off his line, and it's an up, back, and through once again action from the Rowdies.
Given away cheaply yet again. Joma wide. Solstimo trying to pull this away. Maples. Crisosimo drawing Gloucester in, but he was between 2 minds. That will eventually get over the line. Had a ton of English on it. Corner for the Rowdies. That's how they scored their opener back in the 7th minute. Joma's been properly busy tonight.
Just gives you quality on both sides of the ball. The work rate, whether it's him, whether it's bodily. They really challenge opposing back lines and really test their shape with how expansive Robbie Nielsen likes to play.
It's always the big guy that gets the conversation. Lasso's got a head taller than everybody else around him. 3 in hoops. Perez, pass it away, slide toward Dayon Harris, sends it into the standing room section. Mentioned the Rowdies will see Birmingham back-to-back. That's the team that knocked them out of the playoffs in the Eastern quarterfinal last year. That's here at Al Lang. To be fair, no one seemingly got through unscathed in the East in that opening round. I'll play them in the Open Cup on the 8th and then again in the league on the 11th. I was talking to Gabby, who leads PR efforts with Tampa Bay, said the last time that happened was actually Minnesota and Portland. She was at Minnesota at the time in 2019. Back-to-back home games, Open Cup, then MLS regular season. Reyes into Bailey. Reyes, an impossible talent to ignore, termed by his head coach. Ladled inside, Nicoletto couldn't sneak it through. Yen, Bodily. Stumbling back Arteaga, he got upended. Herbert, space to run in out here for Dayon Harris. Harris feigns, fires. Ralph's mob will take care of that.
Those are the moments that if you are New Mexico, you need to go a little bit quicker. You need to be a little bit more direct in your movement. You force a turnover. There is real estate to occupy and operate in. A player that we have not seen nearly enough is Greg Hurst.
Is that a warning for time wasting in the 37th minute?
I'm a bit confused on what our center referee was. The message was to Forrest Lasso and Jordan Farr.
Pressure hits home this time. Hernandez, that'll stay in play.
Just haven't gotten a rhythm whatsoever. This New Mexico side haven't really settled into this game. Taking the sting away from the Rowdies. There's been glimpses of what they can do in terms of possession when they move the ball from left to right. They slow things down. They connect a couple passes. But if you're Eric Quill, you're looking for a little bit of consistency within your performance.
And he admitted every coach wants consistency, right? But at least early in the year, pleased with how they've bounced in inconsistent moments. This is Jennings. And Gloucester pounds this out of play. It's a corner. And Gloucester just went to ground of his own volition. And he's grabbing at his right quad. It is a short bench for New Mexico. We've got an academy player in Jace Seiss in the group. You would argue the logical change if they need to make one would be Avion Flanagan. Sue, Riva, Seymour, and Akale available as well. Gloucester, I mean, we're talking a couple years back now, but spent some time in New York City, but initially went over as a 17-year-old to Hanover before spending time at PSV. Was a highly celebrated player. You could see he sort of came up lame there and then fired it out of play and then went down.
Never want to see a non-contact injury. Like you said, Mike, Gloucester, the quality that he's had raised a lot of eyebrows when he signed for New Mexico. He's a left back, but also very comfortable on the ball, can connect passes. The work rate, playing both sides, is a big part of what Eric Quill's trying to build here for the visitors.
77 degrees and 60% humidity tonight, with a notable wind you can see from the flags coming off the bay. So by Tampa standards, this is temperate. By everyone else's standards, it's a little muggy tonight. They're going to make a change here? Is that the conversation? Because if they don't, New Mexico down to 10 to defend this set piece. Hangs in the air. Tiaga got a piece. Here comes the change. Not quite the one I anticipated, although Will Seymour has shown versatility over the course of his career. So Gloucester does come out due to injury after just 40 minutes tonight. And Will Seymour, in his third year with the club, started the last game, has actually started 3 of his 4 appearances this year, comes on.
He also gives you size and set pieces, so expect him to be the mark for Forrest Lasso.
It's a bit of a hospital ball for Hilton. By the way, we'd be remiss not to mention the news that came from the UK this week as it relates to the former Rowdies manager. As New Mexico sends this wide, Neil Collins relieved of his duties at Barnsley this week. Rowdies have it now. Slip it ahead, ball whipped through. Doesn't find anybody. Bodily, that goes all the way out. Barnsley will make the League One playoff. They got a draw in their final game of the season. I'd say ye of little faith to the Barnsley faithful and the board there in letting Neil Collins go on such a short leash. Yellow card comes out. Chris Olstemo, it appears, who had already been on a warning. But as USL Tactics on X intimated, if your seat is warm in the championship, it might be hot now that Neil Collins is suddenly a free agent, although I imagine he'll have a number of options. Take a look at this with Chris Olstemo at the end. Yeah.
It's a rash challenge. More than he leaves his feet. It's a secondary leg that gets him in trouble. So now you have Josh Perez and Chris Olstemo on a yellow card for the home side.
Goes down here. Now, one of the great Neil Collins isms that stuck around from the era that he led, he was a center back. He retired the next day, was named the manager. Iron Brew for the lads, #1 soda in all of Scotland. He called it liquid gold. I actually asked Robbie Nielsen what he made of Iron Brew. Said, it's an acquired taste. but something's missing in your life if you haven't tried it yet.
And when he said that, I was like, I need to get on this. I need to try it. I know you've tried it.
There's a distributor in Virginia that imports it from Scotland, believe it or not. You can find it on any old shelf at a Publix in the state of Florida. It really is that simple. And it really is that good. This is not an advertisement for this soda, I swear. It's just culture personified. Perez did a really good job and wins advantage. Manjoma, that'll bounce out of play.
But once again, Mike, it's playing between lines for Josh Perez. He plays off the shoulder of Bailey and Micheletto, and then you really force one of the two center backs to step off their line where they don't want to be in. Quite simple for the Rowdies to break through this New Mexico defensive structure.
Wind will take this away from goal. It took it really far away from goal. Over Lasso. Bodily cranked a banana ball out in front of a number of players, out for a goal kick.
I've been so impressed with Bodily this season. 1 goal, 2 assists on the season, but you just see how explosive he can be. Little drop of the shoulder, he creates that little bit of separation and just tattoos this thing, pulls it wide. What a nice little pairing Robbie Nielsen has had with his wingbacks, Manjoma and Bodily. Terrific work rate, really high quality players.
Bacchus drives it away. Beg your pardon, I misstated a stat earlier. That back-to-back home game, Open Cup and League duo has happened more recently than 19. Happened with New Mexico and Phoenix, 2022. Both at Wild Horse Pass. Hurst goes in on Hilton.
You have to think this may be a little bit of frustration from Greg Hurst.
Feels like a light yellow, doesn't it?
It's a very soft one. But when you lift your leg that high and your studs are exposed, you always run the risk of getting in trouble. First player in the book for Eric Quill. Like I said earlier, we have not seen nearly enough of Greg Hurst, the player that Eric Quill spoke highly about, that we haven't even scratched his surface of the goals that he can score. It's going to be a big talking point. How do you get him more involved as his game progresses?
Crisostomo broke it up. Up from Seymour. So another minute remaining in this first half. Excellent one-handed goal line clearance of a save from Jordan Farr. Robbed New Mexico of a goal that would have made this just a singular goal deficit, but the Rowdies jumping on New Mexico inside 20 minutes with 2 goals from Cal Jennings. Quite intentional from the Rowdies here. Bodily, he's had his way tonight. There's the pocket, Crisostomo forward. Jennings, end line, cut back, ricocheted off of Bacchus. Guillen will settle. Referee will not let this play on. Halftime in St. Pete. The Rowdies a deserved 2-goal lead.
Far better from minute 1 to minute 45, the way that they've gone about their business, it all comes down to Crisostomo and Hilton dictating tempo, pulling the strings. And if you're Eric Hill, a lot needs to happen on both sides of the ball, getting in a rhythm, but also defensively. You need to be more compact.
So New Mexico has a ways to go here. Bayside in St. Pete. 2 goals down, it came in short order. Physicality from the jump, the set piece knockdown from Lasso. Cal Jennings, the beneficiary. And then the mistake in the back opens the door for a Jennings brace. The Rowdies in control, 2-0 at halftime on CBS Sports. Beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. Tampa Bay, a 2-0 lead over New Mexico at halftime. Welcome into our booth, everybody, with the former striker, Ricky Lopez Espin, Mike Watson. You know, one thing I know you understand is that great duos can make any striker look amazing in a given moment. Right now, there are 4 duos in the league that have 4 or more goal contributions each. We've got 2 of them today. How about we start there? What makes these duos unique? Start with Arteaga and Jennings.
I think you talk about the balance, right? You understand that Cal Jennings is going to be the one that stretches the back line, but Arteaga, he's going to be the one that's going to stay high. He's going to occupy the center backs, and they complement, they understand each other's movements, but one thing that stays constant between the two, they both want to get on the end of things. They both want to score goals, and they both are very unselfish in the way that they approach things. This is a fantastic goal for Cal Jennings. It's just him in a nutshell. He creates a little bit of chaos, but how clinical a finish that is, Mike.
You can add 2 more goals to his tally here today. Now, how about we look at Charleston? Nick Markanek, 4 goals today. He entered with 7 in MD Myers.
And it's the variety of goals that he can score, whether it's right foot, whether it's left foot, whether it's with his head, but he plays as a second forward. He plays off the shoulder of Myers, and Myers is a physical number 9. He likes to make his living in the box, and he's at the right place at the right time. That duo is doing worlds of good for Ben Pierman.
Meanwhile, for Louisville City, all eyes on Wilson Harris, but Ray Serrano's had a great start to the season as well.
And he's a player that plays centrally. He can play in wide areas of the field. He can create for others, but he's such a crafty player. On the other hand, it's Wilson Harris, a player that Danny Cruz expected a lot of as Cameron Lancaster went elsewhere. So clinical, you give him one opportunity, you know he's going to put it on target. Wilson Harris has started this 2024 campaign in flying colors.
And meanwhile, Las Vegas has a couple guys that are hanging in this mix. Today was not their day, but these two guys have gotten it done, Samake and Noel.
And Dennis Sanchez is pressing all the right buttons when you bring in that new of a roster. But Samake, he plays left, he plays right, and it's the work rate. And then I do think Valentin Noel has been one of, if not the most underrated signing in 2024. You pay for him under Austin FC, and he produced that little bit of individual brilliance.
Dare I say, for Joey Bats, he's been a real home run off-season acquisition for Las Vegas. It's the former spring training home of the New York Mets, Al Lang Stadium. It's beautiful tonight in St. Pete for the Rowdies, up 2-0. USL on CBS rolls on. The Tampa Bay Rowdies unbeaten in their last 11 games in which they led at halftime. 10 wins and a draw over 12 and a half months. Rowdies up by 2 at the break. Ricky, let's take a look at the first half highlights, and this started very early. Cal Jennings from Lasso off a corner by Hilton.
And it's a knockdown for
course, Lasso, but just watch everyone in a black jersey. They're slow to react, they're on their heels, they're ball watching, and Cal Jennings, he's made his living inside the 18-yard box. You get it on target, you give yourself a chance, and it's a dream start for the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
And New Mexico struggled to deal with Tampa Bay's pressure, none more so than right here.
Decision making, right? Understanding where the pressure's coming, just clear your lines, play direct. Meno Arteaga, the composure to pick up his head and to play into the path of his running mate, player Cal Jennings. Such an easy finish, 2-0 for the home side.
And you can see Eric Quill's frustration bubbling as he took a seat on the bench. His side thought they had a goal to get back into this game. Jordan Farr had other ideas.
And it's the best action that we've seen from New Mexico. It's a deep lying run from the center part of the field, but take nothing away. How good of a save this is from Jordan Farr. Just watch his footwork, the athletic ability, the body control, but there's no spillage whatsoever. And that is the story of the first half. It's been all one-way traffic for the Rowdies.
You can see the halftime stats, 12 shots to 3. This is a Rowdies team that has now outshot teams in the last 2.5 games, 57 to 18. New Mexico hoping that they can somehow turn this thing around on the road. The Rowdies, an outstanding start, try and remain unbeaten. The second half is coming up. Second brace of the year for Cal Jennings, and that's 6 in the old onion bag in 7 games to start the campaign. The former Knight of Central Florida. Well, up here in Tampa Bay, he is becoming a real club legend. 19 goals last year, and the former first-round pick of FC Dallas is flying tonight. Under the lights in St. Pete. They'll shoot fireworks out over the bay later. Fans will get a chance to come sit down on the field and take it in. It's Cal Jennings providing all the fireworks in the first 45. On to the second half we go. Can New Mexico turn this thing around? Will the Rowdies make it 7 unbeaten to start the year? Arteaga, ball clipped across. Jennings would have been in an offside position. Comes out here to Guillen. So if you're New Mexico, if you keep this personnel as is, what kind of changes or adjustments are you asking as Eric Quill in the dressing room?
I think it's a simple one. Don't try to play out of the back. Too many times your pocket has been picked. You try to overcomplicate things. If there's any danger, clear your lines, play direct into the feet of Greg Hurst, something that we talked about at halftime, Mike. Greg Hurst, 6 touches, not good enough for a player that has 3 goals, leading your team. You need to get him more involved, and I do think, once again, defensively, that double pivot of Bailey and Micheletto need to be a little bit better in terms of understanding as one goes, the other one stays home and clogging passing lanes.
Conversely, the Rowdies now have kept their opponents scoreless in 6 of their first 7 games. That's best in the championship. Are you changing much of anything at halftime?
If you're Robbie Nielsen, you challenge your side not to get complacent. You go for that third. If you can get that third goal within the first 10 to 15 minutes, it's going to make things very interesting for New Mexico.
Bodley was chasing at the back of Hernandez. Rowdies last year, 19 wins, 63 points, finished second in the Eastern Conference, got ousted by Birmingham, the 7 seed, in the first round of the playoffs. This has been one of the most consistent teams in the championship year after year. When we asked Robbie Nielsen about taking over a club of this virtue, first off, the Rowdies in the UK carry weight going back to the old NASL in the 70s. Level of players that they brought in here. But a well-known group, knew Neil Collins, played against Neil Collins, fellow Scotsman. But you don't want to usurp everything that the Rowdies have done right over the last half-decade.
It was a very interesting conversation because he wanted to find the right balance about players coming in but not changing too much, because like you said, they've done so well in the history of USL Championship and going back to what the Rowdies are. But I do think Robbie Nielsen has had this team, especially late, playing at their best football early on in this 2024 campaign.
Their best work, the Miami game down in South Florida, totally blew out the Miami FC. Team that's playing tonight and actually leads San Antonio with 20 minutes remaining, 2-1. Detroit's unbeaten record is now in grave danger. Pittsburgh 2 goals ahead on Detroit City. They've figured it out. Memphis ahead of Birmingham 2-0. The other shocker of the night, after Charleston totally dominated Las Vegas, Louisville is 3-0 up against Hartford this evening. And none of the goals came from Wilson Harris, believe it or not. Loaded slate, 11 games in the championship being played today. Free kick won by Arteaga off of Herbert. Free kick, Tampa Bay. What do you like from this distance?
I do think if you're Lewis Hilton, you're whipping this ball in right between that penalty mark and 6-yard box, really testing Tembakis and causing chaos within him and his back line.
Biggest man in that pile is Forrest Lasso, 3 in the hoop, 6'5". They were looking for Lasso. Crisolomo lays it off. Doherty. Another set piece. This will come from the corner.
Been so impressed with that man, Rosasimo. The spaces that he picks up, just so clever in that final third, so slippery as well. I do think he's been an underrated pickup for the Rowdies.
A rowdy crowd, both in name and reality. The service angled straight into the air and out. Bodley just wouldn't give it up. Crisostomo pursued by Astorga. Bodley reverses, spent last year in San Diego. 14 goal contributions for Blake Bodley. Harris, up from the first half sub, Seymour, who came on for an injured Chris Gloucester. It's the only sub utilized either way to this point. No advantage to be had. Nicky Hernandez somersaulting out of that challenge.
And it's the first time that we've seen New Mexico change a point of attack and provide some width with Hernandez. He's a player that can play centrally, and it's a missed time challenge from Bodley. He goes down way too early, gets none of the ball. Clean contact, Hernandez falls awkwardly. Hopefully he's okay to keep on going because he's a special player and to be a game changer for New Mexico.
Would you say special team, special plays, special player? Trying to keep up with the kids out here. Can you do the dance?
What's up, brother? That's all I got.
Reyes. Micheletto has been largely neutralized tonight. Sort of lost in that midfield. Flick on header. This will ask a question or two. Guillen, right place, right time. An all-league defender steps to the fore.
Talk about Marco Micheletto. I do think if you're Eric Quill, you want him higher up the field. Too many times he's been so deep right in front of your back four. A player that, yes, he can play that position, but we highlighted him in the open. Can be a difference maker in that final third. Decision-making, quality, and execution, something that has been lacking from the visitors here.
Reyes. There was a lot going on there, but it is going to be against Guillen. And Reyes wins a free kick in a dangerous spot, one that Guillen still can't quite believe. You be the judge. That first kick was a bigger...
It's the first one.
Maybe.
It has to be because there's nothing in that.
But it's not where the ball
exactly.
is. Clearly, the Oscar goes to.
You feel for the argument for Guillen. Talking to the side referee there. The first one, yes, it's a foul. The second one, no contact whatsoever. But nonetheless, a really dangerous opportunity here as Marco Micheletto stands over it.
Micheletto, Harris. Wasn't a bad idea. They got what they were looking for.
But it's such a difficult technique. As this ball's oncoming, you have to make sure that you get your head and your shoulders over the ball, especially the way that you want to whip this thing. Just watch as he leans back at the last second. That's why it goes up and over the crossbar.
Perez. Twisting away. Spent a couple years down in Miami. His uncle is Hugo, the U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer. His dad, Giovanni, played for both Club Deportivo FAS in El Salvador, but also the California Emperors back in the day. We're looking for Hurst. He's starting to make runs out of midfield to try and find the ball a little more.
Haven't really seen that connective understanding between him and Reyes. Reyes played as a wide part against North Carolina. Watch out here.
Acres of space. Crisostomo curls in, whips across. Oh my goodness, it's off the crossbar and out. That had an expected goal of 1, and Arteaga cranks it off the bar.
But it goes back to our halftime segment of the understanding between the two. As Cal Jennings, he pulls off. What does that do? That opens up the gap at the far post, and you expect Manuel Arteaga to find the back of the net from this distance. Yes, it skips off the turf at the last second. That needs to be 3-0 for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Just gets it all wrong.
It bounced behind his body shape, and as he opened up to it, a little too much air.
Those are the ones as a striker, you don't need to hit it hard. Just let momentum do its thing and get clean contact on it.
Arteaga wants to make amends. Arteaga on the move. He got taken out, that's a penalty. And surely he'll get his chance now at the spot.
Marco Micheletto, you have to applaud the effort tracking back, but if you leave your feet, you have to be extremely sure that you're going to make any sort of play on this ball. It's the left leg that gets him in trouble, and I love this, Mike. As Cal Jennings goes over, gives a high five to Manuel Arteaga and says, you got it. You understand the balance, the understanding between the two, but also the unselfishness.
Jennings is sitting on a hat trick, but he knows Tambakis has saved 3 of 22 in his career, and Arteaga has scored 8 of 10. An immediate chance at redemption for Manuel Arteaga against Tambakis. Arteaga scores, cheeky as can be, his 5th of the year. Al Lang in rapture again. Inciting the crowd for a 4th straight home game with a goal.
He's the one who draws a foul. Watch the left leg of Marco Micheletto and Manuel Arteaga. Clear foul. And the run-up, just so cheeky, so classy, so effortless. When he just goes down the middle of the field, the audacity. He's a cold, cold man, Manuel Arteaga, 5th on the year. And more importantly, 3-0, the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Well, Arteaga had a 78.8% chance of scoring that sitter. 0.788 expected goals. And while that didn't ultimately find a home, the penalty did. And Tampa Bay soaring to a 3-goal lead.
You also talk about the mentality from the number 9. You miss that sitter, it's so easy just to hang your head and not go again. And for a striker, the most important play is the next one, the next opportunity, the next action. And what does he do? He draws a pen, he converts a pen. It's top class from Arteaga.
Free kick won by Perez. New Mexico had to make one change in the first half due to injury. So this will be their second sub window. Cobo Reyes is trotting off for New Mexico. They bring Akale in off the bench. Set piece for the Rowdies. They're looking for Lasso, who's riding that wave toward the goal. Bacchus. Arteaga just ran from one end of the box to the other and chased that ball through 3 passes. Hilton. The Rowdies are greedy. They want more. Manjoma. Seymour got a piece and ultimately hit off Manjoma last. You can see Akale into the game, an assist through 361 minutes this year. First time off the bench. It started 5 games previous out of the first 6. Now, I can't help but think if you're New Mexico, if the fall is all that's left, it matters very much. They're gonna play their way. They're down 3-0 at this stage. What do you have to lose?
And it's understanding, right, your game tactics, your game plan, yes, but the mistakes that they're making, if you're Eric Quill, you watch back this film, you're going to be frustrated. This player's not checking their shoulders, it's not playing the right foot, and understanding where the space is. Everything has been in front of this Rowdy side. There hasn't been movement ahead of the ball. No one's dropping deep. I do think you bring in Akale. Hernandez will come centrally, and now you have a different look down the spine. Nicky Hernandez is a player that likes to combine underneath Greg Hurst, and I go back to that North Carolina FC game for this New Mexico side for numerous of factors. They went down twice in that game, and they found the way to grind out a result, but also their gameplay, the ability to combine, move off of one another. Players just looked a little bit more comfortable.
Hilton. Good win of the ball. Hernandez flicks this ahead. Bailey. Intervention from Bodley. Bailey once more. Lifts the cross. Bounces down. Still after it. It will eventually roll kindly to far. Dayon Harris was chasing.
Just look at this space between lines. There's no presence whatsoever.
See Crisostamo, arm raised. Herbert. Lifted away by Manjoma, and eventually Akale had a chance at it. Now the whistle's gone.
about this technical ability from Crisosimo. The outside in. Right here. Just skips away from Marco Micheletto as he picks up a yellow card. Fantastic feat from the center midfielder.
Harris slicing ahead. Simple work, the Rowdies defense. Ultimately, New Mexico can sit and say, and it's deserved, no Chris Wehan to Lottie, Ryden, Nava, Bruce, Swartz, really banged up. Rowdies could just as honestly say no Leo Fernandez, no Zach Aravo, though relative terms, it's apples to oranges. New Mexico getting a bit of a pasting tonight. At times is not going to be fun film to watch. Seymour, Harris. Bailey, Harris, Arteaga. Stab down by Hurst. Bailey. Contemplative now. Hurst. Way outside the goal mouth. Kale. Flicked it through. Hurst kept it alive. Pinged back Seymour. Elongated possession. Akale. End of the night for Josh Perez. He's on a yellow card as well. Charlie Dennis comes in. This will be a trio of changes here for Tampa Bay. Damian Rivera, young 21-year-old product, lifted off of New England. Places Chris Alstamo, and Jennings get a round of applause as the 17-year-old White Plains, New York native Christian Ortiz enters off the bench for just his third appearance. It'll shortly be his most time yet in a Rowdies kit. Corner. And you make all these changes, right? Now everyone has to figure out who you're marking. You bring in two younger guys. New Mexico's gonna have their antennas up, maybe a lifeline here.
It's not an easy thing to make a sub right before a set piece. So that's when you lean on the leadership of your backline, Doherty, Lasso, and Guillen, to make sure everyone knows their role and knows their mark.
Leto, Harris. They're going to hope for a better first ball this time around. That man eats set pieces for breakfast and lunch and dinner.
I saw on social media he likes donuts as well, the Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, they're currently 21 minutes away from a new expense. Donuts for all. Just their second clean sheet of the year. Hurst, turned away. Tambakis will chase this all the way out. CBS Sports celebrates Arab American Heritage Month, recognizing their resilience, diversity, and achievements. We're proud to honor Arab Americans' rich heritage and contributions to society. Throughout the month of April, substitution for New Mexico. They'll bring Hanan Hosu in off the bench, and that's the conclusion for Dayon Harris who may have been the most dangerous of the New Mexico players, but ultimately walking off the field with 20 minutes remaining, down 3 goals.
He was the one that showed the effort to be direct in his movement, really test and challenge the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We have not seen that nearly enough. We have not seen Guillen, Lasso, or Doherty turn around and face their own net.
Le'Veon Flanagan into the game as well. End of the night for Marco Micheletto. Kale. Bailey. Hernandez through Hurst. Seymour. It's hit by Manjoma. Corner.
We've seen a little bit better reaction from New Mexico, getting more on their front foot. And it's going to be a different look for the visitors. As Hosu's going to sit right next to Bailey. Flanagan's going to play on this left-hand side. Hernandez is going to stay as a 10, and Akale on the right-hand side. So players that like to be direct and like to be very savvy in their movements, trying to test and run in beyond the Rowdies back line.
Ball whipped in, bounced by Seymour. Bailey got tied up. Merciless, the Rowdies. Arteaga got swung off the ball by Seymour. Mexico, by the way, just used their 3rd and final window. Look at Manjoma. Flanagan finally closed it down, and that'll find the right side of the flag if you're a New Mexico supporter. It's merely a throw. So New Mexico made 4 changes over 3 windows, and barring a use of a concussion substitution, Rivas and Seiss, along with the backup goalkeeper Shakes, will go unused. Joma took a kind bounce. Arteaga! Aleng Stadium in St. Petersburg. The Rowdies took the lead in the 7th minute. They have not looked back. Jennings in the 7th and the 16th. Arteaga from the spot in the 58th. Ball turned over to Ortiz. Through. What a ball that is! Ortiz! Tambakis denies the 17-year-old of what would have been an enormous moment in his young career.
I do think one of the underrated parts of Manuel Arteaga's game is bringing players into it. The vision he has, the soft feet, takes about 5 New Mexico players out of this game, but give credit to Ortiz. It's a brilliant first touch out of his body. He cuts down the angle. Tambakis makes himself big and denies the youngster the 4th goal here in the evening.
Dennis. You know, it's fun seeing Ortiz get into this game, in part because in speaking with Robbie Nielsen, there is a clear desire. The Rowdies have not been historically a team that's brought academy players through, and yet it's such a hotbed in this area. You think to just an hour or so north, right? Bradenton and its central role within U.S. soccer for so many years. This is a talent-rich region. It's just up to the Rowdies to make the best of it now.
And I do think that's when you start to see the European influence as well from Robbie Nielsen, understanding that if you're good enough, you're old enough, right? really deserve the opportunity to play and walk over the white line on game day. He's going to give you that opportunity. Now what do you do with it? Already Ortiz has made his impact felt with just the willingness with his runs.
Kale through Astorga. Hernandez. Hosu. Snapped up by Dennis. First team all-league last year, 11 goals out of that midfield role. Ortiz lifts one over the top, sends Arteaga sprinting. He's joining up in the attack. 3 black jerseys. Rivera is looking for Ortiz. Last-ditch defending from Herbert, a corner for the Rowdies.
As New Mexico is trying to find their first goal here, you need to have the right amount of balance. You can't leave yourself overexposed going back the other way. Arteaga is just so clever in his movement. Rivera's a player that I really like for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Can beat you on his own, could also bring players into this game. Box defending from Herbert. Position to perfection. He needed to get it right and does just that. But just watch the movement once again from the Rowdies. Non-stop, 77 minutes in.
Hilton sought Arteaga. Sprint out is on. Stay in the venue.
I thought it was going to go out.
You and I were both in front of our seats. Souvenir. And then there were 3. Detroit City fall tonight. It's reached full time in Pittsburgh. The Riverhounds 2-0 vanquish the previously perfect Detroit City 2-0. Hogan and Griffin, the goal scorers. Detroit held to 0.12 expected goals. And they dropped points for the first time this season. The Rowdies are one of the 3 unbeatens remaining now. Indy 11 have sealed the deal over North Carolina, the League One champion last year. And Douglas Martinez's 75th minute goal stands the winner. Memphis has hung a 3-spot on Birmingham. Louisville, 3 in the first half, up 3-0 on Hartford. Meanwhile, the Jägermeister Cup starting this weekend. Ton of action in League One. Ball comes to Seymour. Ball flicked ahead. Hosu turns away. This blasted out of play.
Just see the numbers that we didn't see in the first half for New Mexico. Getting higher up the field, showing a little bit of personality and want to make things happen. Really difficult technique as Bailey is running horizontally away from goal to get it on target. If you're Eric Quill, you have to be at least pleased with the effort put forth in the second half. Great turn.
Wow. I want to talk about a little bit of risk there from Alan Hosu. Bailey streaks into the final third. Spots a little bit of width here. Kale on it again. Hilton pestering. Hernandez Slipped ahead, give and go broke down with Bailey.
It just seemed a little bit more balanced now in New Mexico. Osu, he's going to be the one that stays a little bit deeper, so now you start to see Zico Bailey influence the game. That's a great ball. You see Zico Bailey influence the game a little bit higher. Kale's going to stay high and wide, as well as Flanagan's players that want to be direct in their movement, possess a lot of pace.
Mexico hope that carries over. They go to Las Vegas next weekend. Challenge from Herbert sends this wayward to Timbakis. Vegas will have a point to prove at Cashman next weekend after they got annihilated 6-0 at Charleston this afternoon. 4 goals from Nick Markanek. He has 11 goals. League record's 25. And we're in April. I think, you know, you looked at Charleston, some of the losses they had over the offseason in the attack. You thought, well, where are the goals going to come from? I'm not sure anyone predicted 11 from Markanek, but Ben Pierman was really high on what he'd do. This finds Flanagan. Flanagan bouncing through. Ushers it back. Bailey would have been better off pulling the trigger. Dancing, spinning, Akale met his maker. Zoma. Hernandez. Ortiz playing that back shoulder through for Arteaga. Mexico pull it in through Herbert. If you're New Mexico, you'll finish the night on 13 points, it appears. And you just played the toughest 7-game stretch of anybody in the league at the outset. All brought in by the Rowdies. Shield winner, expansion opener in Rhode Island, East winner, championship winner, League One winner. And then this Rowdies team that have won the East twice in the last 4 years. And he got 13 points out of that. There's a lot of reason for pride, even if New Mexico will rue the fact that they struggled in these 2 East Coast games, Charleston and Tampa Bay.
And a lot of those were on the road as well.
Right.
So if you're Eric Quill, there is a foundation that you're building, and there is confidence to be taken. I do think if you would have told him you'd take 13 points out of that stretch of games, he would have signed up for it any single day of the week.
Right.
So it's not an easy feat. So what New Mexico has done, make no mistake about it, this side, once they get confident, or more confident, I should say, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Western Conference.
Arteaga comes off. He got his goal from the spot, his 5th of the season. Nyongabire comes in for him. And then notably for Tampa Bay, Nick Moon making his debut off the bench tonight. Moon missed about 3 months of last year with San Diego, and boy, did they miss such an aggressive, wide player. Trialed in preseason with Nashville, didn't latch on there, then came to Tampa Bay, picked up an injury, and will get some time here tonight. You know, I think about Nick Moon as Ortiz commits the foul here, and I sort of think slightly different profiles, but their strength and ability 1v1, Jake LaCava-like.
Very similar.
Right?
Very similar. Hey, I do think if you're Robbie Nielsen, right, you look at that position, the wing back, you have Bodley, you have Manjoma, now you have Nick Moon. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Right, all players that you look around USL Championship, they will be begging for their signature. And he has them at their disposal. Nick Moon, we've seen how good of a player he was at San Diego, scored a fantastic goal on this field a couple years ago.
New Mexico trying to scratch something across here. Kale, Lasso. Tampa Bay has now used all 5 of their subs, so both teams are out. They're going to bring it back. No advantage to be had. Jägermeister Cup continues tomorrow. That full tournament is on ESPN+. It's the League One intra-league tournament. You see Richmond and Knoxville playing on the CBS Sports Golazo next weekend. You also see the Hounds and Miami, both coming off wins tonight. Both you deem upsets. Pittsburgh over Detroit, and Miami has knocked off San Antonio 2-1. Sprinting ahead, and Neon Gabire will have to wait a bit longer to open his Rowdy account. By the way, San Antonio got an epic goal from Luke Hackinson early in that game, and then fumbled the bag in South Florida. 2-1 defeat. That's a huge result for Miami, huge.
They needed it. Antonio Chirino was going on 6 games without a win with his young side.
Stat to come on that in a moment. Neon Gabire stumbles outside Manjoma, whips this back across the face and out the other side. San Antonio lost tonight after scoring the opening goal for the first time since October 4th of 2020.
Wow.
65 consecutive games in which they did not lose after scoring first.
Do not want to be in that locker room with Alan Marcina.
No kidding.
Talking about the depth for this Tampa Bay Rowdy side, Neon Gambere, he can also play wide. So he's another one that in that position can be challenging for minutes. So Robbie Nielsen, training must be so competitive, and that's what you want. Going back to what you mentioned in the first half, I do think the only quote-unquote positions that maybe aren't sharpie are the back line for this Rowdy side, because anyone can produce that little bit of individual brilliance that is asked upon and fill into any sort of role.
I mean, there was a point in time, right? Loro in goal and the 3-back of Scarlett, Lasso, and Guillen. Sharpie for like 3 years in a row. Ultimately, Lasso goes to Sweden for a while. Loro now in Cincinnati after tearing up his knee. He's back to full health, thankfully. And Scarlett went to Louisville last year, missed the entire season due to injury. Now he's in Indy. High bounce, comes all the way to far. Beg your pardon, Tembakis. But now it's Far, Guillen, Lasso, and that newcomer in Jordan Doherty, who they had played in midfield under previous administration. Hosu got squeezed out of the play.
And you always need one of those players in your lineup, a player that can play in numerous of different positions, well liked in the locker room. A very good thing going to Tampa Bay Rowdy side. Only 7 goals conceded. Very stout, very compact, and very disciplined the way that they go about their business. You can throw Lewis Hilton in that mix as well. That sits right in front of them and does a lot of the dirty work.
play 3 more minutes tonight. Clock ticking on the game. Also, there's a small barge that's entered the harbor here, preparing to shoot off loads of fireworks. This is one of the 4 fireworks nights at Al Lang this year. Always a fan favorite. Tipped over to Seymour. And Joma is trying to lead himself. Got usurped by Seymour. Charging in, Flanagan. Runs to ground, commits the foul. So Ricky, try and put in perspective. Rowdies start 7 unbeaten. They remain one of the 3 unbeatens in the league. It's just their 3rd win. Where's this group right now in your estimation as it pertains to the larger championship picture?
I think they have to be top 5. And the way that they have gone about their business, because yes, you can say, yes, it's only their 3rd win, but they haven't lost, right? They maybe not have played their best football, but they, again, much like New Mexico, they have found a way to get results, and that's a sign of a good team. That's a sign of a team that's experienced, that knows what this league entails, and they just have so much talent. So I do think, like I said earlier, they're starting to find the balance and their true identity. Watch out here.
Ortiz was front running. I think Ortiz was running in an offside position, to be fair.
We had the ability to talk with Robbie Nielsen earlier this week, and when he asked him about the El Paso game.
Ball ahead. Hurst, far, protecting the clean sheet. One that they desperately desire. But right, they give up the 1 goal, and it's from 60 yards out. It happens.
100%. And from the outside looking in, it's probably maybe confusing result as you drop points to El Paso, who I think they went 7 games without a win.
Right.
But he said, look, we actually played very well. Yep. We created a lot of opportunities, but we just were not clinical enough in that final third. Flip the script here. A week later, you cannot say that same thing. Took their goals very well. We're on the front foot, taking this game to New Mexico, and that's exactly what you would want from a manager. The reaction, the execution, and the ruthlessness that we've seen from this Rowdy side.
Wasn't a fluke. About 3 expected goals. They put 3 up tonight on New Mexico. They'll be licking their wounds. A long injury report, and luckily a home respite now is just a little over a week away. Goalie would be academic, but something to take home. We'll run all the way by. Maples turned it down. Pitchforked over by Akale. In front, Flanagan, that block. Follow will end up whiskers wide. And take it to full time. The Tampa Bay Rowdies, 7 unbeaten to start the year, remain unbeaten against New Mexico with a 3-0 victory.
Just fantastic from the Rowdies, so professional in their approach. Clean sheet was always going to be the #1 thing on the task board. You do that, you secure at least 1 point, and then you let your special players make the difference. Cal Jennings gets a brace. Manuel Arteaga notches one from the spot. Can't ask for a better evening, even Robbie Nielsen.
Jennings, 2 goals, and Arteaga adds 1 as well. This dynamic duo continues to pile up the results. New Mexico United come cross-country and suffer a similar fate to that they ultimately fell to Charleston last month. The Rowdies, 3-0 win, all 3 points, continue to climb the East. Postgame coming up. Cal Jennings and the Rowdies. The winds of change whipping over Al Lang Stadium. The Rowdies continue their rise in the East. A 3-0 victory over New Mexico. Fall for just the second time this year. Here are full-time highlights. And the Tampa Bay Rowdies pulled ahead in the 7th minute and never turned back.
We know how important set pieces can be when you have Lasso to get on the end of it. It's a really clever knockdown ball into a dangerous area, but everyone in a black jersey gets caught ball watching, gets caught on their heels. The first to react, Cal Jennings. Fantastic start for the home side.
And the Rowdies would double their money just 10 minutes later, and again it'd be Cal Jennings, but it's off a catastrophic mistake.
Just too casual from Maples. You try to overcomplicate things, just play direct, clear your lines, but give credit to Manuel Arteaga. Head up the whole time, plays it into the path of Jennings, and you're gonna see the frustration from that head coach. You have to be better in terms of your decision making if you're the back line for New Mexico.
Then in the 58th minute, Manuel Arteaga misses a sitter, but earns a penalty, and he'll take it.
It's a wrong challenge from Marco Micheletto. He leaves his feet, he catches Arteaga, but how cheeky. The audacity to do this at this point in time, right down the middle. Arteaga gets his well-deserved goal on the evening.
Take a look at the full-time stats. Chance for your final thoughts.
From minute 1 to minute 93, Mike, I thought the Tampa Bay Rowdies were on the front foot. They never looked back. I do think there is a little bit of a positive to take from New Mexico. That second half, you start to get more numbers forward and have a little bit of belief. And that's something that you can grow on if you're Eric Quill. But tonight was all about Robbie Nielsen and the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Well, it turns out the only fireworks came on the field. The wind is actually substantial enough tonight that they've canceled the post-game festivities. The Rowdies, however, gave a lot to celebrate here tonight. And again, they continue an unbeaten run. Sees them 7 off the trot to start the year. One of 3 teams in the championship without a loss. For Ricky Lopez-Espin, our entire team in St. Petersburg and beyond, Mike Watts saying, thanks for watching USL on CBS Sports. So long for now.